Okay, so I've been asked to speak a little bit about financials, financial success, how to up your investment game. But can you give me a copy of that book, please? Yeah, so I have a new book called Will You Ever Be Rich? And it's right here. It was saying is thank you so much. I'm not a pastor. I don't need all that stuff. So it's called Will You Ever Be Rich? Um, it's basically a book that I think that God has just kind of planted in my heart for a long time, and I didn't expect it to be as successful as it's been so far. But it seems that it just connects to everyone because almost every one of us are running this race where we all know that we have a lot of abilities in us. We have the able to do a lot of things, but somehow it just appears that we're just stuck, right? We have this question, will this ever happen to me? Will this ability to ever get rich happen to me? And that's kind of what the book kind of goes through, step by step on how we go from that thought to how we actually overcome and get to the next level. And unfortunately, the fact is that without applying these principles of that I like in this book about will you ever be rich, it's I know we're in church, so we have to go by faith, but it is not possible to be rich. It's impossible. Right? According to data, this is real data, this is science now. 99.4% of people will never be rich. Only 0.6% of people, which means almost nobody. Literally almost nobody. I don't know how many people we have in here or how many adults in here. If it's all of us here, less than 100, or less than one of us will be rich without applying the kind of principles, studying what the rich have done and how to actually get there. So, Pastor, if I'm going wrong, please start bring me back. Say, okay, you're not going religious enough because we have to go by faith. But the science is just very clear, right? The data is clear. If you look at it, if you look at how you define rich, what you earn, what goes to the government, what goes to your mortgage, what goes to your taxes, what goes to this, whatever you have left to be rich, it's almost impossible. And then now, we now define rich about also not just having all this money, but having it when you're young enough to enjoy it. So I know some people like Susie Orman, Dave Ramsey, and those kind of things. I really love what they say, but they say, okay, well, get your job, invest $200 out of your income, and by the time you are 75, you have $1.2 million. Well, what are you going to do with that when you're 75 years old and 78 years old, right? Well, I mean, at 75, 70 years old, I can only, other than eating and drinking, what I'm going to do? I'm asleep by 7:30 p.m. anyways, so it doesn't matter. So the ability to actually be rich when you're young enough to enjoy it is what this book talks about, right? So I'm gonna go over a few things that we discuss about how to get to be rich, and then I'm gonna because this is an exclusive group here. I'm gonna touch a little bit about my next book, which talks about after you're rich, what really happens. Because what we've heard about, we're talking about uh, Pastor, help me out here a little bit. So there's people building a house on a foundation of quicksand. It's in the Bible. And the other one built on a foundation of what is that? Is it rock? Or the rock foundation, right? And if we go around, we seal up with our peer that have the appearance of being wealthy. And they're building this house quickly, but it's on quicksand. And any minor issues with the economy, any rise in interest rates, any unfortunate that happens to them, it just comes down like quicksand, right? So building your financial house on a solid foundation that can withstand any wind, any small wind that can withstand it, is also the next part of the book. It's called "Are You Financially Fragile?" You see people that they look very wealthy, but they're financially fragile. Any small thing just kind of knocks them off the shelf. But now let's talk about being steps to attaining the wealth that you need to do. Okay, so yes, sir. Okay, alrighty. You guys said that if you're not interested, we're gonna throw rocks at you and kick you off the stage. Is that it? Okay. All right. Okay. So in life, in a financial world, there are four quadrants of getting income. Four quadrants. Okay. There is the E employee quadrant. There is the S self-employed quadrant. There is the B business owner quadrant, and then there is the I investor quadrant. And majority of us lie in the B quadrant. I'm sorry, the E quadrant, the first one, first quadrant. So there's four quadrants. The first quadrant, employee quadrant, which is where we make 100%, but only of our own efforts, just your efforts, and your time is limited. You go to work 8 hours, and that's about it. You go to work 10 hours overtime, that's about it, right? And I think that when you're in that quadrant, there is no way you can be rich. It is virtually impossible to be rich in that quadrant. Nobody does it. Nobody. 0%. Right? So I think there are five ways that the people that become rich have become rich. Right? One is business ownership. Two is being a C-level suite, CEO, CFO of a major corporation, right? There is inheritance, which most of us don't have the family that's going to give us the inheritance. There is financial instruments, people that their job is to work in on Wall Street and manufacture financial stuffs. And then there's real estate investments. Those are the five ways to get wealthy. There's 79% of the people that got wealthy is that five ways. Being an employee is not there unless you're lucky enough that you are the CEO, CFO, whatever it is, of a major corporation. So it's extremely difficult. It's possible, but it's extremely difficult to be wealthy if you are just if your income is if your efforts is the only that produce your income. We all have 24 hours in a day. So having that your efforts to be the only one that produces income is almost impossible, right? So let's take for example, I like to pick some people here. Let's take for example, I am easy one. I'm a nurse, right? And I make 80, 100, 120 grand a year, right? So before most people, before you go home, about 22% of what you earn is gone before you even take it home. So before you get home, about 20% is already gone, right? On taxes, 401k, healthcare, whatever it is. Some point maybe more. The more money you make, the more you lose. By the time you take that money home, then you have your mortgage, interests, car notes, student loans, whatever it is. And then, of course, you have to be flashy. You have to show off. You have to go on vacation. You have to go out to eat. All these things. Incredible. It's almost impossible to save $10,000, $20,000 a year to make progress. However, though, if you can see that's the reason why it's virtually impossible for you to be rich as an employee. So our job is to see how can we move from the E quadrant, the first quadrant, to the second quadrant of being self-employed, right? So the accountants that work for a company as an employee is employees in the E, so the first quadrant. The accountant that becomes self-employed and then gets paid per client he sees, get paid by taxes he does or she does, is now in the self-employed quadrant. The accountant, so if you are in the employee quadrant, your first job is to talk to your employer. Is there a way to earn by my performance? Can I earn based on what I do? If I'm a doctor and you're paying me per hour, can I earn based on how many patients I see? Right? Can I get some bonus? Can I have a way to increase my income exponentially? Because when you're an employee, your income grows sequentially. It doesn't just go like this. But if you can now say, okay, I'm going to work more hours, but don't pay me per hour, pay me by per person I see. You pay me per result. Pay me for the result I produce, not just for showing up. Employees mostly get paid for showing up. Self-employed gets paid for their results. what they produce. If they don't produce, they don't pay. They don't get paid. They don't eat, right? The accountant, the dentist, they get paid per but per teeth they clean or for results, right? Real estate agents per result, the mortgage brokers per result, financial advisor per result, and they tend to earn more than the employees because now they're getting paid for result, not just for showing up, right? A doctor will come there and will see for 5 minutes and makes a lot of money. He's not getting paid for his time; he's getting paid for the result he's producing. So that's the next level of actually building wealth. Is in that situation now, even though just like the self-employed, you are still the only one producing your income. However, now you have a little bit of leverage. You can make more income with your time. You can determine how much you want to make. Right? There's no one saying this year you make this much money, next year you make that much money. You can say I want to work more, I want to make more. I'm going to make a lot more with my time. So the self-employed quadrant is the next quadrant you want to be in life. Now, switching to the right side, where the real money is made, it's now become the business owner quadrant. The business owner is where you have a system and people now work for you. Right now, you're getting to a place where the wealth now start coming because leverage is what builds wealth. Right, the more leverage you have, the more wealth you have. One of the people that are the richest in the world, let's just use Jeff Bezos, right? He's one of the richest people in the world. We all know Jeff Bezos owns Amazon. The reason why he's the richest person in the world is because we are all working for Jeff Bezos. I'm working for Jeff Bezos. He has so much leverage that, he goes to bed, wakes up richer. He doesn't, for example, when we buy this book, guess who's getting paid? Jeff Bezos, right? Every time you get an package in your house, Jeff Bezos is getting paid. We're all working for him. The more leverage you have, the more people you have that they're out there generating income for you, the wealthier you are. That's the beauty of the business owner. So when they have the system just operating, they're going to sleep, and the money is coming in. Now, the difference between the business owner and the investor is that the business owner still has to create that system. The business owner still has to manage that system, still has to operate that system. Jeff Bezos still has to make sure Amazon is still operating. To make sure that he's still meeting with the CEO, the CFO. He has to work on that system. However, when the last quadrant of real getting rich is becoming an investor. You have a system, but your money is working for you. Your money is a soldier going out there every day bringing money for you. And monies, they work 24/7. They work non-stop. There's a 4 quadrants of life, right? You be employed, self-employed, business owner, and investor. Now, I'm going to put another data out there now, so I want everybody to pay attention to this. The data says that in every seminar like this, only 3% of people that actually hear what they hear, the information they hear, actually take action. So what I want you to do is commit to be one of those 3% and not one of those 97%. When you leave here, this information to go out there and say, okay, how can I start to implement this today? It's no good if you hear the information and don't do anything about it. And 97% of people will not do anything about the information, according to data. So commit to be one of those 3% that will go, okay, well, wherever I am in the quadrant, I need to get to the eye level. I need to go step by step. And the reason why you can't get to the eye level right away is because you need to go through the E and S and B to build the capital to get to the I. I requires capital. I is where you want to be. But I requires money, capital to be. B requires effort. S requires more effort and certifications. You need to be certified and hold to be self-employed. And then E, just go to school, get a degree, and get a job. Right? So what a big thing about this book says is that most people think investments is what makes you rich. It's not. Income is what makes you rich. Investments keeps you rich and keeps you wealthy. So the cash flow income, the ESB, those places where you can get your income as high as possible is what makes you rich, not the investments. So if my income is, if I'm investing $20,000 a year, and I'm making 10%, which is very hard to make, 10% on it, I'm making $2,000 on my investments. That's not going to get me rich. You're not going to get me rich. You got to get your income as high as possible. That is the focus. That is the focus. Go from E to S to B, so you can cross over from the 99.6% to the 0.4%. Now, in uh, in my first book called Success Made Simple, we discussed the 3 Ds of life. So I don't have the book here. So unfortunately, if you have to buy it, you don't buy it off Amazon and make Jeff Bezos even richer than he already is. See, there you go. Congrats, Jeff Bezos. Um, it's called this. We're all in one phase of life called the 3 Ds of life. This is really important. You want to write this down. So we are the 3 Ds of life. There's what they call the drifting, where we're all just drifting through life. Right? You wake up January 1st of 2022. You say, okay, I want to be healthier. I want to be wealthier. I want to do this. And then January 1st of 2023, still the same thing. Nothing really changed. And you go 5 years, I've been in America, nothing really changed. I have a car, I have a mortgage payment, but nothing really changed. It's still this nagging feeling that I really want to improve. That's called drifting. Like being on a boat and no engine, just waving around, you're moving forward a little bit, the wind is carrying you, nothing. Most of us are in the drifting phase of life. Day in, day out, nothing changes, no real progress. It's just a nagging feeling. And the first book talks about how we are almost all drifting. The next phase that we can go to after we're drifting is called driven. When you're driven, right? You're making progress. You have goals. You have goals that you've written down. I want to do this by this date. And you are taking actionable steps to do it, right? I want to lose 10 pounds by this date. Okay, I'm going to take the steps, cut my food, track my this, and measure it and be driven towards those things. I want to pay off my mortgage in 4 years. And you take those steps, right? When you're drifting, you don't have those kind of goals. You have a wish, right? You say, but you don't track it down. You don't make plans towards it. When you're drifting, when you're driven, you make plans. You go from E to B. Most people in E are drifters. Most people in the S and B are driven. Especially the S, they're driven, they're making progress, they have goals. And that's the next step is the driven phase, right? The problem with the driven phase with the self-employed and the business owner is that it's really, really hard, right? You're making progress, but it's difficult. You're struggling, you're fighting through it. Every day you go home just exhausted, right? Because you work 12, 15, 16, 18 hours to make your goal to come to pass. But people that are driven make significant progress more than the people that are drifting. And the final phase of life is called the directed. When you're being directed, pastors believe you're directed by God. I believe that as well. But when you're being directed by like a mentor, a coach, someone that's been there before, that knows the obstacles for you to avoid, they can give you the playbook. They can give you, here's what you need to do. Here's how you get there. Here's your steps, right? If I want to build a tech company and Jeff Bezos is directing me, it's hard to fail, right? He's been there, done that, know what it takes, lets me know, who to call, how to act, the directed. In your 3 phases of life, you're going from drifting to driven and ultimately directed. Now, so this is a real testament to how the core principles of life don't change. I wrote that first book, Success Made Simple, in 2016. The first chapter is the 3 Ds of life. And I wrote this book here in 2022. I think it was like 6 years later. And I never really connected it until someone that read the first and second book said, hey, Victor, do you realize that in this book, it's a story about a mentor and mentee and how the mentee is all of us just struggling through life, wondering if we will ever be rich. And the mentor took the mentee by hand and walked him into the path of being rich. And said, Victor, do you know that this book connects to your directed message of how to get rich or to succeed in life? Being in the directed phase of your life is the ultimate way to go. And that's when I really connected it. That wow, I never even realized that that's what happened in this book, and kind of ties to the first chapter of the first book, right? So being at the third D of life, directed where we want to be. But you want to leave the drifting to driven. Have goals. When you leave here today, be one of those 3%. Have goals. Make a plan. Be focused on your plan. Start making progress from the drifting to driven to directed. Now, a lot of people that ask me, okay, Victor, I want to get to the I phase. How do I get money in the first place? So I remember I was doing an open house. I'm a real estate broker, so we're doing an open house for real estate, and a young new realtor said, "Hey, Mr. Victor, I see you talk about how to make this money. People that make money, how did they get money in the first place? Where does this come from, right?" And again, I'll tell you, it goes from being the E to the S. Then when you go to the S, you have to learn to live below your means. There's no trick to it, right? I hear a lot of pundits, a lot of people that have that talk on the news and financial say, hey, don't worry about cutting the coffee, enjoy and splurge on that coffee, enjoy and splurge on going out. That's not what's really going to help you build wealth. That's a lie. If you cannot say no to the small things, you would not have the courage to say no to the big things. If you cannot say no to that eating out once a week, once a month, once a year, if you're building your wealth, if you can't say no to eating out once a year, you won't have the courage to say no to the big things. Because if you can't say no to the coffee, we all have a need to keep up with the Joneses. When your friends are driving the bigger car and they're building their house on quicksand, they look rich, but they're not rich. When your friends are getting a bigger house, when they're getting this, and you know that you have a goal, you would not have the courage to say no to that extra house, to say no to that extra car, to say no to that extra what it is, extra coach purse while you're building your goal. So starting from the little things of cutting down your expenses, no matter what it is, and start saving that extra $10, $20, and start building it into an investment is really key. So living below your means is extremely important in the beginning phase of growing wealth. You need to start today, not tomorrow. I'll give you an example of what the power of starting today really does, right? So I like to use a story of this piece of paper here, right? This piece of paper here. If I folded the piece of paper and I keep folding it, I'm going to ask anyone can answer here. How many folds do you think it will take for me to get from here to the moon? I think the moon is approximately about 227 million miles or whatever it is, right? How many folds do you think it will take to get from here to the moon? Anybody want to guess? Sir, how many folds do you think of this thin of paper will get to the moon? The moon is 127 million miles, whatever. Countless, okay? Man, okay, you gotta answer there. I like when young kids have this courage. How many folds? 300 trillion? Yeah, okay. I don't even know what a trillion is, but it sounds about right. It sounds about right. You know, if I told you that it's 32 folds to get to the moon, 32. 32 folds. And that's the power of compound interest and the power of starting today, right? By the time you do 32, if you go from 32 to 29, maybe it doesn't go past Nigeria, from here to Nigeria. But because you're doubling it, right? So you're doubling. So when it's this big, the next fold is not that. The next fold is that. And when it gets that big, the next fold is not this. The next fold is, by the time it gets to as big as Nigeria, from here to Nigeria, that next fold, the next three folds, will be from Nigeria to double it, extend to the end of the world. The next fold extends to Mars. The next fold extends to Moon, right? That's the power of starting today. The 5 days you miss before you start might be the difference in making lots of millions. That's how compound interest work, right? The money you make money on themselves, and then they make money on themselves. I'll give you another analogy about that, right? If I had two different people and I want to give them a project, can I say, hey, sir, you want both have 31-day projects for January? 31 is in January. For you, I will pay you at the end of January, January 31st. I will pay you $1 million on January 31st for this project. And sir, for you, I will pay you starting today, but I'll pay you a penny. And it will double every day. So tomorrow, 2 pennies. Next tomorrow, 4 pennies. The fourth day, 8 pennies. The next day, 16 pennies. By day 14, you have $10. By day 21, you have $280. Which one would you pick? So you have only 10 days left. Yeah, you are at $280, right? You're like, okay, you're gonna get $1 million guaranteed at the end of the 31st day. Which one would you pick? So you're gonna get $1 million, get a penny. Okay, so which one are you gonna get, sir? Huh? Yes, sir. Okay. Fantastic. I love that too. Right? But remember, you get your million on day 31st, not on day one. Okay? So if you look at the actual and the power of compound, the power of going and starting today, that $208 or whatever it is, I don't have the actual number now, on day 21, by the time you go to day 22, now is $400. Day 23, 800. By day 31, he will have $16 million. And you have $1 million by day 31. And that's about, however, though, if you're started to give you money, that penny, on day 6, you might have only $500,000. Because remember, if once you get to $500,000, next day is 1 million. Next day is 2 million. By day 3 is 4 million. Day 4 is 8 million. Day 5 is 16 million. Within 5 days, you went from 500 grand to 16 million. You cut that 5 days at the beginning. You wait 5 days more to start investing. That's what the power of compound interest is. Start today. Okay, so we talked about increase your income. We also advocate how to get your money is pay off all your consumer debt right away as soon as possible, including your primary home, including your home that you live in. The home that you live in is not an investment. It's an asset. It grows in value. It's a good asset. Living in a home is better than renting a home, but it's not an investment. An investment is something that you go out, home at the end of the month gives you a check. Your investment pays you. It gives you returns, pays you every month. Your mortgage, you start to pay it every month. And that's part of the difference between the people that are building a life on sand, building wealth on sand, and a wealth on the rock, right? Or building a house on the, I'm sorry, build a house on the sand and a house on the rock, right? When you pay off all your consumer debts, you have a stable foundation. To the world, doesn't you don't look rich yet, but you are rich. To the world, the person that has this big mortgage will buy this big car, going on vacations and posting on social media every month, and those things, they look rich, but they are not. Right? The person is paying off all their debts, including their primary home, is taking the time to build a solid foundation. They build a nice concrete foundation for themselves. But people that are living on debts, like almost everyone in America, are not building a solid foundation. Okay, so talk about that. I know I'm kind of running low on time now. I want to leave room for questions. I'm going to speak uh, through this. The next thing I want to talk about is the difference between good and great. I say good is the enemy of great, right? So another reason why only 3% of people are going to leave here, only 3% of people want to leave are going to do this is because there's a fear. We all are afraid to take that jump, to make that leap, right? The second book of my second chapter of my first book is called How to Avoid Kakoraphobia, which is abnormal fear of failure. We all have this fear of failure, which is abnormal, especially in America, right? Because here we have so much resources, that we have so much safety nets, that there is no reason why we shouldn't go for it all. There is no reason why we shouldn't spread our wings and fly, right? The chances that you're gonna go broke and not eat in America is almost impossible. Most people here in America go for 30, 40 years without working and they're still alive. They have housing voucher, food voucher, whatever it is, social security income, or whatever it is, right? So, what you're afraid of, that failure, will never materialize. But if you never take time to actually explore what you really want to accomplish, you've already failed, right? And there are steps that we take to avoid failure. One, we call it developing a POAM, plan of action and milestone. We use that a lot in the military. Like I was saying, I'm a military officer as well. Uh, having Once you have a goal, the first job is have a goal. Second job is develop a plan of action and milestone, right? So whatever goal it is, let's say, I want to open a carpentry business, right? So my first job is, okay, I want to open a carpentry business. Now let me go talk to 5 carpenters that have succeeded in the carpentry business. You want to go in there and interview people that have succeeded in your industry, what they've done, what mistakes have they made that you can avoid. Can they coach you? Can they mentor you? Talk to them about those things first. And the next thing is now go back and develop a plan of action and milestone. Okay, I want to do this, and I want to do this by what date? That's your milestone, right? By the next 6 months. You don't just have a wish, have a real goal. Now, you have to now walk back from there. What do I need to have to start making money in 6 months? So the next 2 weeks, you now break it down. I want to open my LLC. In the next 2 weeks, I want to look for get the sites where I can get bids and offers and do marketing. The next month, I want to start doing marketing. By the next 3 months, I want to accommodate my first client. By the next 5 months, I want to have my first contractor, my first whatever it is. And once you break it down to those small actionable items, being a carpentry business is not as daunting anymore. Because opening a carpentry business is very daunting. But opening a company with an LLC is not that hard. That's a 3-hour work, right? And opening and looking for 5 sites where I can get government contracts is not that hard. So you can do that. And then after that, the next 2 months, submitting 6 bids to this government contract is not that hard. Then getting 4 contracts is not that hard. So once you break those things down, it becomes less scary. It becomes less daunting, because now you can see that doing these actual steps is not as hard, but looking at the end goal is very difficult. Then the next thing you want to do is now focus. There is a saying that says, "Jack of all trade, master of none." I think they say this, that phrase go longer than that, but the point is having a focus on 1 or 2 things is extremely important, right? When we do 10 different things, it's hard to succeed in it. Uh, People say, do not put all your eggs in one basket. However, though, if you're trying to avoid breaking your eggs and you have your eggs in 12 baskets and you try to carry 12 baskets from here to there, versus make sure you inspect the baskets properly, put your eggs in 2 baskets, carry carefully down there. Which one is likely to most likely succeed? Those 2 baskets that you inspect carefully, make sure they're there, carry carefully, or you have 12 baskets that you can't really inspect, but you're trying to carry 12 baskets and run across the place, right? So as you are growing, having that focus, you only have a limited amount of resources, money, time, and when you spread it too thin, nothing gets done, right? I advocate for in the beginning, focusing on 1, maybe 2, maximum of 3 goals at the same time, and try to pursue it. if you can see, when I have a lot of people that when we got accountability, they have 12 goals. They not none of them is getting done. None of them is getting done properly. I'm like, well, you can have those 12 goals. I'll applaud you for that, but focus on one first, on two. Get that done, then move to the next one. Then move to the next one. Success is built sequentially, not simultaneously. When you have it all at once, you cannot do it all at once, not simultaneously. It's sequentially. You can have 12 goals. This is your 6 months goal. You have to start from here, step by step by step. That focus is very important. Okay? Last thing we discuss about also avoiding how to avoid the fear of failure is also to describe what's your worst case scenario. So if you take this step, what's the worst thing that can happen if I don't succeed? And we all will realize that it's not as bad as we think it is in our head. Write it down. The saint said, don't never bid the devil good morning before you see the devil. Right? Most people just see all these problems before it even comes. So one, don't start cutting yourself off before you even see the problem. However, though, it's a good practice to write your worst case scenario. What's the worst thing that can happen? Write it down. What's going to happen? Worst case scenario, I try to open my carpentry business. I don't succeed. I go back to my normal job as an administrative assistant. That's where I was 6 months ago, anyways. So that's what's going to happen. You go back to your job. It's not as bad as it is. But if you never take the leap, if you never start, you will never get there. Okay. So my closing thoughts, and so we can leave room for question, is ultimately the way to build wealth is living below your means, raising your income as much as possible. You have to go from the E to the S to the B to the I. You have to raise your income. You have to reduce your debts, systematically start saving and investing wisely today. If it's $20, if it's $10, whatever it is, every time you cut that coffee, go back and put that $10 into your savings, into your investment account, right? We can talk more about investing in a different day. Things like investing in index funds, investing in real estate, passive investing, those kind of things. We'll talk a bit more about that. But you start investing systematically and wisely today. Start today. Investments eventually will get you out of it. Your income will make you rich. Investments will give you financial freedom. So, contentment leads to happiness, not consumption. So, keeping up with the Joneses just leads you to more unhappiness. Contentment with what you have, invest in it, leads to happiness. Consumption does not lead to happiness. More consumption, if you look at some guy in Fifth Ward next to Jeff Bezos, you would think guy in Fifth Ward is richer because he's consuming a lot. Very flashy, those kind of things. The people that really have it don't have to be flashy. Contentment leads to happiness. And ultimately, my second book, Finding Happiness is Your Only Purpose. Ultimately, you got to remember that the point of getting rich, the point of money is just for two things. One, provide security. Two, give you happiness. Not just for getting money. Sometimes our culture, we forget the point of getting money. We just want to keep getting and getting and getting and getting. To what ends? What is my goal? The numbers will never end. The money will never end. So you got to focus on the goal. I equate it to us being in a race where we all start, we're all running, but we don't know where we're going. No destination. And all of our marker is, okay, I'm ahead of Pastor's ahead of me, just trying to be ahead of each other with no what destination is. You got to keep in mind the point of having money, the point of being rich is two things: to be secure and to be happy. If he's not getting those two things, you're going about it the wrong way. Thank you very much.
We can do better than that. You see, I feel very happy each time I see a black man at the peak of his game. I don't know whether I'm racist, but sincerely speaking, if Mr. Victor were to be a white man, I won't be as impressed as I am today. Because they will always claim superiority anyway. But here we are, young, brilliant, multi-talented. This is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful lecture, a life-changing lecture, and I strongly believe that by now, a very good number of us, including me, should be having questions. I want to up my investment game, just like every one of us here. And as such, we have questions on the lecture that will give us the key. Without that key, it may be difficult to open the door and make the move. So, please, if you have a question for our guest lecturer, honestly speaking, if I have the power, aside from his military rank, I will have conferred on him a professorial rank right here now, honestly speaking, because that has been a very fantastic lecture. So, questions from the congregation. You can either get a sheet of paper, put down your question, or indicate. All right. Yes, number one here, Brolumide, and my sister here will take the second question. On behalf of Professor Victor, I won't mind if you can get a bottle of water for him. He definitely will need that. So, Brolumide, your question, please.
Good afternoon, sir. Um, my question, it's a long time question, but I don't know if you can still try to answer because I could see that out of your teaching, you try to explain it that there are some things that you cannot speak on today. But the question is this: I want to know the difference between a real estate and a digital real estate. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that question. So, I don't know more about digital real estate. Okay, I'm more about the physical real estate, and the reason for that is because physical real estate gives you money, income, cash flow that you can go spend every month. I don't know if the digital real estate do that yet. I think so. Uh, the things that make real estate work are things like cash flow, uh, appreciation. They go up in value. They have tax benefits for it, where they depreciate it and you can reduce your taxes and those kind of things. Those characteristics are not available for digital real estate, whatever that is. Because the whole idea of real estate, the thing that's real in the first place. So I'm not a big advocate of the digital real estate. I think it's going to crumble, in my opinion, on the long run. However, physical real estate is a great place to invest. Right? It gives you cash flow every month. It goes up in value. It's there. You have your assets in there. Quite frankly, I prefer that to stock investing as well. I mean, even though I do invest in stocks, I prefer to stock investing as well because real estate gives you a real way to invest. See, an investment operation is something that you can analyze it before you go into it, and you invest in it, and you expect it to give you a reasonable rate of return that you can probably even calculate It might be wrong, but you can calculate it, and it is safe for a long time. When you invest in stocks, you don't know, most of us don't know how to value stocks or how to value companies, right? We don't know, okay, is this company going to do well? Where is it located? What are they doing? What's their future? We don't know how to value that. So we invest in blindly, right? When you invest in digital real estate, for example, I don't know how to value it. I don't know what the valuation, I don't know what the income is, I don't know what the projections are. I don't know what it is, right? If I go out there and I buy a piece of real estate, I know how much the cash flow is producing before I go into it. And if I pay if I pay $1 million for it, and I'm getting 100 grand a month, I'm sorry, a year, I know in 10 years I should get my money back, and I still have the assets, and I can go spend this 100 grand every year, right? So an investment operation is something that you can actually analyze and go into beforehand. And I think that's a big concern that we have these days, is that a lot of people say they're investing, but they're just mostly gambling or taking a chance. Right? If you cannot analyze it before you're going into it, it's not an investment. We all do it. Right? If you can't analyze Bitcoin or whatever it is, you can't analyze it. So it's not a real investment, right? But when Warren Buffett, supposedly the best investor of all time, of our time, when he buys Apple shares, he's not buying the shares, he's buying the Apple company. He's looking at their 10K, their 1K. Here's how much they make, here's how much they're projected to make next year. I can do a discounted cash flow over the next 20 years, they'll make this much, this is what the company will be worth, and can go from there. So if your question is between digital real estate and physical real estate, I will vote for physical real estate. Hope I answered your question, sir.
Thank you very much, our guest lecturer. I want to take the written question because it has to do with real estate also, so that the response can be dovetailed into what we already have. How big should my primary home be? Is a big primary home an investment? And the question goes further. How do I start a real estate investment if I do not have a lot of money? A lot of us love that business, but we don't have huge resources. How do we get started? Can you give us some examples of investment? Okay, maybe we deal with that which has to do with real estate first. Does it involve certification? Do we have to get registered with a government agency? Must we have a minimum of $500,000 to get started? And so on. Please throw more light on that.
No, you don't. But I'm gonna. I know I look young, but I don't have a great memory, so we're gonna do one at a time. So I'd like to answer the question.
Okay.
What's the first one, sir?
How big should my primary home be?
Good. That's a great question, right? So, like I said, I'm a real estate broker as well. So people expect that when they come to me, I'm gonna advocate for them to get the biggest home. Not at all. My philosophy on your primary home is that your primary home should be as small as possible, that will accommodate your lifestyle and will make you happy. Period. As small as possible that will accommodate your lifestyle and will make you happy. I have clients that come to me, husband and wife, maybe pregnant wife, one child on the way, and they want to buy a 5-bedroom house. Why? I don't believe in paying for what I don't use or what I don't need. Right? So your primary home should be as small as possible. On the flip side, should also make you happy. Because if you're paying for this home, you should be happy going in there. You don't want to go home every day and be pissed off that what the hell am I living in this shoebox or matchbox for, right? So, and on the flip side, remember I said contentment will make you happy, not consumption. If you still want the bigger and bigger and bigger home, there's always going to be your neighbor that has a bigger house than you, right? So you got to be content with what you have. But your primary home should be as small as possible to make you happy and to accommodate for your lifestyle.
Thank you very much. Is a big primary home an investment?
A primary home in any aspect of it, big, small, is not an investment. It's a consumption item. You are consuming the home. Now, these day and age, some people are doing what they call house hacking, where they buy the home, live in part of it, and Airbnb the rest out, or rent some of that. In that case, yes, you can consider those part of it an investment, but the one you live in it, you're consuming it, you're using it, right? You're living in there. It's not paying you every month. You are putting money into it. It's an asset. It's an appreciating asset. It's better than renting because renting is just a pure liability. You're just giving it away, and you're just consuming it, like renting a car versus owning a car. But it's not an investment. Your primary home is not an investment. You're consuming it. You're using it. It's not. It's not a capital investment. You're not getting money back from it. Hope that answers that question, sir.
Thank you very much. How do I start a real estate investment if I do not have much money?
No, you cannot.
So what is the
You cannot.
minimum amount you think this questionnaire needs to have?
So I'm going to get back to that now. So the answer is no, you cannot, but there's more to that story. So remember, an investment is when you put your money out there and it goes back and bring money for you. So investment by default is capital intensive. Real estate investment especially is very capital intensive, very money intensive. So you cannot have a real estate investment without having capital. However, though, you can work in the real estate investment industry to raise capital to invest in real estate where your money goes work for you. So like you're saying, can I have my money go work for me without having money? You cannot. You have to have that money in the first place to go work for you to have that money. So every investment takes money. You can invest in this. You cannot invest in the stock market without money. You have to put money in there to bring more money for you. However, so there's two things you need in real estate. You either have lots of energy or lots of money. So money, and that's the same with the cash flow quadrant. Self-employed, business owner, that's energy, your time. Investments, the I part is your money, right? So as an investor, by default, you need money. In real estate, you can have energy. You can go there and be a real estate broker. You can go there and help other people find deals with your money and partner with them. You can be a syndicate. Go there, look for a big property, put on the contract, get a lot of investors together, bring them in, take a bigger portion of that. That's what Warren Buffett does. You go look for a company, take the bigger portion of the company, and bring investors together. So you can be a syndicate, you can be a wholesaler, you can be a lot of, but all those things require time. So that's not pure, even though you're working in the real estate investment industry, that's not a pure investment. That's you putting your time, your energy to get the deal done. But a pure investment, your money is out there, you need capital to invest.
Thank you very much. Yeah, next question says, can you please mention some good investment that we have around? I hear a lot about Bitcoin and stuff like that. Can you throw light on how viable these investments are?
Yeah, well, okay. So this is just your question you're asking me now is a personal philosophy, it's a personal opinion because I mean everyone feels differently about this. But I like to break things down into simple ways. So the first thing is I can discuss investment operation. A true investment operation is something that you can look and analyze before investing it. Know the cash flow that's predictable, or at least you can try to predict it, and then going forward. If you can do that, it's not a true investment. It's more of a speculation, which is fine. You can speculate. We just need to know that you're speculating. You need to know what you're doing, not investing. We all speculate, right? So that's one. The two thing is that there are three big buckets of investments. So when someone say, Victor, I want to invest, okay, let's break it down to simplicity. Where are the three big ways we can invest? One, in real estate. And under real estate, there are several ways to invest in that. There's direct ownership of a real estate where you need 20% down. There is indirect ownership where I can invest as part of, okay, we want to buy this building. For example, this shopping mall is $4 million. If I buy it alone, I need about 20% of that. I need 800 grand or more. But if I say, okay, well, let me just buy indirectly So the pastor goes raise the 800 grand, but I give you 50 grand, and I own 10% of it. Okay, that's a different way to do it indirectly. So there's several ways to invest in real estate. There's real estate investment trusts where you can invest in real estate by the stock market. There's a lot of ways. House hacking, Airbnb. That's one bucket is real estate. There's another bucket called financial instruments, stocks, bonds, Bitcoin, gold, digital real estate, you name it. It's all financial instruments. Then the third bucket is private businesses. So financial instruments are business as well, but you want to invest in private businesses, right? So I said, okay, my friend here, we're looking nice in his African outfit. I love it. He wants to buy a company. We can invest in this company, right? I'm going to be a part owner, a silent owner of what it is in the private businesses, and that's a very viable way to invest. I really advocate for that. So there's a big bucket is private businesses, real estate, and financial instruments in different forms. So my thing is you can invest in a place where you can analyze it upfront. That's an investment. If not, it's called speculative. Now, a lot of financial gurus say it's okay to speculate with 5 to 10% of your investment assets. Okay, because what you're speculating can go up a lot too, right? I think it's a scam, but a scam can go on forever, right? The whole dollar we use, in my opinion, to scam, but it can go on forever, right? So because it can go on forever, you can still speculate in it and make money as it grows, but those things fall under what they call the greater fool theory, which means that the value of Bitcoin, of whatever it is based only and solely on what the next person is willing to pay for it. There is no utility in it. So it's called the greater fool theory. What is the bigger fool? What's the bigger fool going to pay for it? Is what's good. That's the whole. And it's a good way of thinking, right? If you can manufacture demand, manufacture scarcity, someone is going to pay more for it. But it's there's no utility to it. Zero utility to those things, at least as of right now. But if you have an investment, something that actually produces cash flow, has utility to it, you can analyze it, that's an investment.
Thank you very much, sir. Um, okay. All right. The second question is already accommodated. Yeah. This is a straightforward question. How much is being rich?
Who asked that question? Who asked that question? I don't know. You asked that question? Or you have that question as well too? You ask it or you have it as well? You asked that question. Okay. I will not answer that question. However, though, I will give you a copy of my book for free, and you can find out in there because the number is in there, and the number changes as well. Anyway, for everybody else, it changes for everybody, and it changes as time goes on. Maybe back in 2000, if the number is a million, in 2022 it's not a million anymore, right? But sir, I will give you a copy of the book for free, and I'll sign it for you so you can get it in there.
That's a nice one. People are already winning awards.
There you go.
Brilliant questions. So,
Yeah, okay. I have this question here. The person is asking, I have a $40,000 cash, still have a mortgage, but want to invest. What do I invest in? What's okay? That I won't lose. I have $1,000 cash. I have a mortgage. What can I invest that money in? I won't.
I love this question, and I love it for one reason because it goes back to that 3% of people will do things when they live here, and it goes back to being directed. And I didn't mention this, but I need to mention it as well too. So another part of being directed is that if I go to my mentor, I say, okay, hey, you've done it before several times, and you've succeeded at it. Not that you've done so, you succeeded at it, right? You succeeded at it. How should I go about doing what this? Okay, Victor, do this. No, I don't like it. I don't like your way. I'll do it my way, right? And that happens a lot. Like, yeah, You tell them, okay, this is what I do, or this is what I did, or this is how I think you should do it. But he's like, well, I don't like that answer. So I get that question. People come to me and ask me, and I say, do this. I don't like your answer. I want to do it my way anyways, right? So which is fine. Everybody, need to do what you think it is because there is no one way to skin a cat. But if I woke up in that person's shoes and I have $40,000 and I still have a mortgage, I'm gonna put the entire 40 grand. Hopefully, I have some other what they call emergency fund somewhere. If I do, I will put the entire 40 grand in my mortgage because it's not hard to lose that. And the reason why I like to do that as well too, that is um, um, personal 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 finance. This is very important. You want to write this down, and please write this down and keep referring to this over and over again. Personal finance is more directed by behavior than by numbers. Behavior is more important in personal finance than numbers, right? So to address that again, right? So the person will say, well, Mr. Victor, my mortgage is only 2.5% or 3% interest rate. I can make 8% somewhere else. So shouldn't I invest the 8% somewhere else? The number is correct. I can do math. 8 is more than 3, right? But the behavior suggests not. And the behavior is more critical in personal finance than the numbers. You'll get to an investment, but the behavior of actually, because when you have that 40 grand, most people don't end up investing that 40 grand. I almost want to bet that the person that asked that question, if they look back maybe 6 months or a year ago, they had more than 40 grand. And over time, the money just kind of went, they didn't invest the entire money, it went away, right? So that behavior of human behavior, we are more motivated by loss than by gain of equivalent amount, right? So if you have, say, okay, hey, you have $10, you can take this gamble, but you can lose that $10 or you can make $10. We'll fight harder not to lose that $10 than to make additional $10, right? As human, we are more motivated by loss than by gain, right? Quite frankly, that's why most people never go from E to self-employed to B to tough, right? The gain that we're making doesn't motivate us as much as losing the paycheck that we are getting, right? We are more motivated than loss. So as you're pursuing your personal finance journey, the numbers makes a lot of sense, but the behavior is more critical than the numbers.
Thanks a lot, sir. Yeah, this is must be from one of our youths. I believe one of the 3% that is going up there. Does it really matter if you go through college to make money in life? The number of years spent in the college studying, if that has been invested into investing, will it not make a better sense? That is the question.
That's a good question. I had someone else ask me this question this past week that I was just answering on video. So, who asked that question? I want to talk directly to the person. Who's the young person that asked that question? You did. Okay, good question. Fantastic question. Yes. I think college is important. Absolutely important. I think that most people that go to college, however, will not use their degree to work or to build wealth. That does not mean it's still not important. Because college teaches you a lot of other things other than getting a job with it. Problem solving skills, time management skills, networking, social skills, and those kind of things. And most employers still need that to start with. However, though, let's assume that you already have something you're doing right now and you're already making, I don't know, whatever, you name the number, $200,000 a year, right? Is it wise for you to go to college to go learn how to be whatever it is, an accountant to get a job to make 40 grand a year? Not, right? You don't want to go do that. But the decision not to go to college has to be really thought through, that going to college right now will hinder my growth in this path that I'm already making progress on. That using my time at this point in time will hinder this growth. So it can't just be abstract that, okay, I can invest this time without already having something you're already doing. That you're already doing that. And even if you're doing that, you can still go to college if it will not hinder that growth. But let's say, for example, I'm already doing real estate, and which you could do at your age, and I go to college at night, and I'm doing real estate in the daytime, and that college at night does not interfere with me still doing my real estate deal. You should still go to college. But let's say I'm in class in college, I'm studying, and during that period, I'm losing money, I'm losing clients. You might want to think about, okay, well, now it's interfering with what I grow this to be, whereas that would not get me there. But college is still very, very valuable. Your professors in some of my professors in colleges, some of my professors in college are now my business partners. I went back to school to study real estate, and I do development with some of my professors in college. Because I can reach out to them, and they can guide me on things as well too, right? So college is a value to college. So all these Bill Gates and not Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs, that they say they didn't go to college, they went to college. They were already super smart. Mark Zuckerberg, they were already in college, creating businesses in college, and it came to a point in time where staying in school will interfere with them taking their company public. That's when they chose to leave college, not arbitrarily leave college without having any plans. Hopefully that was helpful for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So, back to the congregation, those that want to ask a question in person.
I have some little questions about three of you. Now that you said it requires much capital to do real estate, will you not advise people if they can start with realtor?
Yes, absolutely. If you can start working in the real estate industry, that's very advisable. Uh, any investment requires capital, and you can invest in real estate also uh, on the stock exchange as real estate investment trusts. But to invest directly in real estate is very capital intensive. I'll advise you to work in the real estate industry as a realtor, wholesaler, broker, mortgage, doesn't matter. I think it's a very good. It's a very good way to make money. It's a self-employed way to make money, so you cannot leave the E. But very advisable, yes, sir.
Thank you. Can your assets improve your investment?
Can your assets improve your investments? Yes, it can.
Is it wrong to risk your assets for investment?
Is it wrong to risk your assets for investments? Um, Give me more specific to that.
Okay, take for instance, we bought a property.
hmm
We already paid to some extent.
Your primary home. You live there.
I live there
Okay.
and also another office. So we approached the bank. Hey, give us money. This is our asset. And we want to take the money for investment. Is it wrong?
I wouldn't do that.
Okay. Now, if you want to go for investment and you require money and you have an asset that is sitting somewhere, can't you use that asset as a collateral to get money from bank for investment? That's what I'm trying to say.
You can, but I wouldn't do that. But you can. You can, but
I wouldn't do that.
Okay, good question, right? So, I think more of that goes back to the behavior versus the numbers.
Since what you are taking is not for consumption.
Correct. Right. So what I would do, I will work harder to raise more money to invest than risk what I already have to invest somewhere else. Because remember, right? So investments investment has a risk component, and in our minds we cannot calculate risk. We can only calculate reward. So what you're doing in that case is that you see the reward of the investments that you want to go do, and you see, okay, I can leverage what I already have to go invest somewhere else, but you see the reward, but you don't see the risk. Because we cannot, because risk is things that we don't know. So you can't process what you don't know we don't know where it's coming, we don't know what's gonna happen, but it's there. Right? But you can see the reward. I can invest here, I can make more money in here. But you could do that investment, you can lose both. Right? So it's also, in my opinion, I wouldn't do it. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, because my opinion.
Why I'm asking is because,
Okay.
because it is also riskier not to take a risk. Because if you are afraid that you don't want to take a risk, it's even more riskier.
Yeah.
And you have an investment that you are trained and you know the outcome. And also, you have this as a capital tie down. Because I call it as capital tie down, which you know you can utilize to bring more investment. Then, for instance, I want to go into estate, and I have a capital tie down. So, and I know if I want to work to get the money for this investment, it will take me ages. So, why should I be afraid to take a risk, tie down this capital, and remain stagnant where I am?
Well, it shouldn't take you forever to do it, to raise new money. Now, let me ask you. So so you have two properties that is paid down for a while, right? Are they big assets with big money in it? So remember I said that your primary home should be as small as possible, right? So if it's not that big and if it's a small part of your net worth, it shouldn't be the reason. It shouldn't be what's going to make you wealthy. Risking it shouldn't be what will make you wealthy if it's a small part of your assets, right? If the big part of your asset, maybe it's too big then. Maybe it's too big to be tied down, right? So for example, if I have a house, if I have 2 kids and I have a house that is 4,000 square foot and $1.5 million, I'm worth $2 million. That's too big of my asset to be tied down. So I don't need to go borrow against and to just get rid of it, go to a smaller asset, and use the money. But now the small asset can still be paid off and use the money to invest, right? So again, like I said, we're going back to what I said, that they're going to ask me questions. What do you with it? So so it goes back to that, right? So one, we can't see risk. Two, it's not advisable to risk what's important to you to what's marginally important. That where the return is just marginally different, but you lose what's really important to you for a marginal gain. I don't know if I'm making sense there. So, if I go out and risk, if I'm risking this small for big payoff, is one thing. But if it's risking that is really big, my family, my house, or my everything, that it's already not too big in the first place. That's like too big in reference to your total net worth in the first place. Risking that for something that's marginal that might work or might not work is not advisable, because investments can go sour, right? A lot of people invest. So just 2 years ago, last year, 2021, right? Last year, coming out of COVID, right? I was with a lot of big investment gurus. Do you guys know who Kevin O'Leary is? Kevin O'Leary, Shark Tank. So I was in a conference call with him, and his analysis that the U.S. is about to go into 5 years of prosperity or more. They've pumped so much money into the economy. We all have PPP money. Everybody has all this money. It's going to be the go-go era of the 1920s, was his word, his quote. It's going to be the go-go era of 1920s all over again. So go and borrow as much as possible. Invest. Now it's 2022, a year later, and the Federal Reserve is getting raised to 7%, and we are facing a recession.
Finally, if my business, maybe the industry is going down, is it right or wrong to liquidate for a reinvestment in another field?
You have to decide that, but it sounds like it's a wise thing for me to do. Yeah, I don't have the details, but if if you have an investment that you think is ending the the lifespan of it, it's wise to get out of it and go somewhere else. That's a wise thing to do, but I don't know the details, so okay.
Okay, thank you. I have a question and I don't know if I
You are
can take mine.
recognized, ma, after retire. Then
I don't know if I can take mine because it kind of aligns with what he asked, but in another factor. For you being an investor, and I know one of the key factors in investing is being able to know your risk appetite, right? So, how do you personally calculate your risk appetite for anything? For example, I want to invest in something, and I know based on my asset class, for example, all I can, give out that will not hurt me is 20%, right? If I lose 20% of my asset class, I'm still good to go, right? But this investment is going to take like 40% of my asset class, right? How do you measure your risk appetite for things?
You're saying that the investment that you want to go to might wipe out
As an
what?
example,
Correct.
yeah, I'm asking for you, how do you calculate your risk appetite for it?
Okay, good question. So I'm very risk averse, right? And when I'm making an investment that is pretty large, I'm looking for all the worst case scenario, all the multiple exits, so multiple ways I can exit the deal if it doesn't go well, and also I pay a lot of attention to my income as well. Make sure my income is still growing that can salvage the deal if it goes bad. I don't bet the whole farm that and that if this just go bad, I'm out of the game. We don't do that, right? You put a lot of reserves. You take a very low risk approach. Invest in things that you know very well that you can control as much as possible. So those kind of steps you have to take. You can't take away all risk. I can't take away all risk, right? You have to take some risk to grow your investment portfolio. But taking a deliberate action, okay, well, what's my way out of this? If it doesn't go well, can I still hold on to this investment for a while? Do I have enough income? Am I putting everything, all my eggs in this basket, and I don't know anything about it? Can I control it? All those things you want to look at before you take a very risky investment. An investment that can wipe away 40% of your portfolio is a very risky investment, right? Even 20% is very risky if you cannot wait it out and for it to come back on the other end. Was that helpful?
Yeah, very well. Thank you. I have a question here. I'm going to, there's a question and kind of do the same thing. Number one, as an employee, how do I start saving to raise capital for investment? And the person put here, I earn $5,000 a month. And the second question, similar to that, is how much is advised to have before you start?
Okay. So as an employee that you have 5 grand a year, the first thing is reduce. Yeah, 5 grand a month. The first thing is to reduce your expenses as low as possible and save as much as from that. The second thing though is that if you want to be rich, you cannot be rich on 5 grand a month income. You have to look for how can I grow my income from being sequential to being exponential. Can I negotiate with my employer that hey, can I get paid on the result I bring, not on my time? Can I do that? Can I start looking for other side gigs? Whatever it is, you cannot get rich off $5,000 a month income. Uh, it will not. I know we're in church, so I don't want to be so definite, but it's not gonna happen, right? At least even if you're investing, it'll take a very long time to get there because you don't invest such a small amount that doesn't appreciate it doesn't grow fast enough.
Thank you very much, sir. So, from there, and we'll start considering winding up because of our time.
Thank you so much, sir. Um, Investment is good, right? Please, there are some investment company out there. They will tell you to come and invest. At the end of the day, you realize that they are fake. How do we differentiate the good from the bad one? Then on social media, they will tell you. In fact, many people you will see that they will just invite you. At the end of the day, you will realize that they are fake. Even they will hack your account. How do we differentiate the good from the bad one?
Okay. So before we wrap up, I know we're about to start wrapping up here. I have a gift for one more person in the audience. So please remind me so I don't forget to do that before we leave. So investments, how do you identify the ones that they're fake or not? So one, you want to educate yourself, right? So the best investment in your own education. Like the more you know about investments, the more you can spot the scammers. Two, in most cases, when it's too good to be true, it's often a scam. When someone says, you should be see that I come to you, hey, I'm doubling my money every month, come and invest here, more than likely is a scam, right? So they're telltale signs of. I think most people that are scammers will come and try to uh, work on our human greed and our desire just to make quick money. If it's a quick money, those kind of things, you know it's a scam, right? Um, and people come to me all the time like, listen, that sounds great, but that doesn't sound right to me, you know. Or you can see the person they are not making that kind of money himself. You can tell from the lifestyle they're not making that kind of money, but they tell you you can make it. So, but the most importantly, you want to kind of keep your eye out for investments that are too good to be true. And if you're not too sure, maybe you share with someone that you respect that knows that this person is a good investor. Hey, pastor, does this sound good? Does this sound good to you? And maybe share with two or three people to kind of get their opinion on it.
Sorry, I did ask two questions the other time. You didn't answer the second one. How much is advised to have before you start investing? I know you mentioned in your presentation. Maybe you can just.
$1. Yeah. Start investing right away.
Thank you very much. What is the difference between running a business and managing a business? I said it's just semantics.
Yeah, semantics is the difference. Yeah, that's it. Okay. I think they okay.
All right. Quickly, sister.
So much. My question is similar to what Pastor Ibinai asked you. So, if you have a business, for example, and you have assets, and it's not the business right now, the industry is actually down. I think it's facing like some kind of recession, and you know it's gonna come back up. Is it okay for you to get like sell part of your assets to like maybe go into something else, or just get a loan to maybe boost your business till things come back up?
I mean, to be honest, it would be disingenuous if I give you specific advice on your business because I don't know the industry. I don't.
The transportation industry, like
Okay.
trucking business and all
Okay.
of that. So
Okay.
is it okay for you to sell part of your assets? Like maybe you have 5 assets. Can you sell one of it to like boost the business or get a loan to like push it forward a little bit?
Well, I think I mean if I just answer the question in a vacuum, I think it's okay to change directions, right? If we think that if I have an investment and I think that the future is not bright for that investment, I can calculate it's not bright for that investment. It's advisable to switch to something that I think is brighter in the future. And if I have to liquidate some assets in here to go there, I think that's a good idea.
Thank you very much, sir. We are winding up. Let me quickly take this. If you have, for example, 200,000 rand, and you're interested in investing, what are the chain of businesses you can advise that such can make an impact?
Pastor, you want to help me out here? Can you, Can you ask the question again?
Of $200,000,
Yeah.
you're interested in investing. Can you advise such a questionnaire on a couple of businesses you think that can be put into?
Well, yeah, that's a very open-ended question. I think there's a lot of things you can do with 200 grand. One, if I have 200 grand, the first thing I'll try to do is eliminate all my consumer debts, including my primary home. All my consumer debt. It's a consumption debt. Get rid of that first. Secondly, I like real estate a lot because real estate gives me cash flow that I can spend every month. So I will explore real estate. And then thirdly, I might explore investing in private businesses or in the stock market by indexing my money in there. So there's two things I do with stock market. I do index investing and dollar cost averaging, which means that if I have $20,000, I don't put all in there at once. I put maybe 10 grand every week. That way, if it's a big fall or big rise, I'm kind of going through with it, right? But there's several. I just always go back to those three big buckets: real estate, financial instruments, private businesses. Then you analyze which one you prefer. Analyze which one will give you the lower risk and better returns, and you go forward with it.
Okay, thank you, sir. As a follow-up question to the other question I asked earlier, you said you can invest $1, and the question is, where do you invest that $1?
Okay. I mean, so real estate is very capital intensive, right? So $1 can be invested in probably eliminating your debt or in stock market index funds, right? You buy a stock market for $1, they just keep growing. When I say $1, my point is start today, right? Start today. You can invest in yourself. You can invest in education, right? If you have $100 and you want to go and get, like this gentleman was saying, a license to do real estate, license to do taxes, license to do whatever it is, right? Investing in yourself will pay you the best dividends. Investing in your education in yourself will give you the most returns. And then the other thing is passive investment. But the idea behind that $1 is that you don't have to wait to have this much money to start investing. Start investing right away.
Thank you. This person is asking, if you have 20,000 credits and you have 20,000 cash, is it wise to pay off credit or pay half and invest the rest?
So if you have $20 in credit card loans, I'm assuming, right? And you have $20 in cash, yes, I'll pay the $20 loan right away, the same day today, over with. If you don't like it, go and borrow the money back again, but get rid of it.
Thank you.
If you don't like that feeling, and that's what I tell people. So if you pay off your primary home, if you don't like it, then go and borrow it back. But it's the same thing because the money you're gonna use to pay it back anyways, but you want to accrue interest first, then go back and pay it.
The last one is, it's kind of an advice. How efficient is drop shipping towards building wealth?
Like dropship business.
Yeah, drop.
I think it's a good business. Yeah, it's a good business. Now let me go back to the whole paying off your mortgage. I know that 40 grand person is still not happy. When I had 40 grand, I didn't want to pay it. Still not happy about my answer. So the same way about, like I say, you don't want to risk what's important to you for what's marginally important to you. So for example, let's say I'm even thinking about retirement, okay? And I have a $200,000 mortgage, and I'm investing in my retirement account, and I'm putting all and investing here and there to get old. And when I get there, when I get the money back, what am I going to do with that money? Pay the mortgage as well, right? But I want to go and risk it first, maybe lose it, maybe not make it, just get rid of that. And now that behavior, right? So again, goes back to the behavior. That behavior will motivate us to actually work harder, invest smarter, and make more money. Because when we all feel richer, we spend more freely. When we feel not as rich because we put all our money paying our debts, we are more conservative and we do things the right way. For example, during this whole COVID era, businesses were spending ridiculously. They're spending more freely because they all felt richer. The government was giving them all these loans, hiring people, doing all kind of stuff. Now that everybody's facing recession, the CEO of FedEx said on Friday, CEO of FedEx said, well, we're now in a cost management mode. you should always be in the cost management mode, right? And the same thing, that behavior goes in there. When you have this $20,000 in credit card and $20 in cash, you feel richer, but you're not richer. You're still zero, but you will feel richer and you behave richer. But when you put that 20 grand in the credit card, you're still the same thing, but now you don't feel as rich. So that behavior motivates you to go there and hustle more and not do things stupid. Because that 20 grand that you have, you know, end up on your way home, go on a date, and before you know it, is less only 8K left, and you still owe that 20 grand. Now you're even in a worse situation. Okay. Well, so I think before we wrap up, like I said, I have a gift to the gentleman that asked about the Will You Ever Be Rich be getting a gift. I also have one free gift here. We'll get to you, sir. I'm going to forget. I'm a very forgetful person, so I'm going to forget. Let me get this done real quickly. So, I have a gift for the first person. So I know you've seen it before. First person that can follow this instruction will get a gift from me today. Maybe two gifts. The person that can get your phone out, get your phones out, because when I say this, you have to move fast. Get your phone out. Get your phones out. The person that can text me their first and last name and their email address. The first one. Follow instructions. You get it. You get it. It's coming. I want to make sure everybody's ready. Unlock your phone, everything. First and last name and email address. Don't text me your number. Don't text just your first and last name. Email. Follow the instructions. First and last name, your email address. My phone number is 832 788. Don't distract her right now. Not right now. Not right now. Okay. 832 788 1782. Someone just called me. Don't call me. See? Why can someone text me before I say my number? This person cheated. I didn't say my number. They already sent the text. They didn't wait for go. Okay, I think. Okay, I think we have a winner. I love this. Someone sent me a text. Okay, maybe that's the person's email, Sha. They sent me my own email address. Don't send me my own email address. First and last name and email address. Let's see. Okay, we have a winner. Who is the winner? I think it's a woman. I think it's a woman. Moyo Sore Olaniyi. Uh, did you have my number before? You have someone that's young because they have fast texting skills. I think he sent it before I even said the number. I think he sent it like last night or something like that. Yesterday. All right. I know you had one more question, sir. I think that's it. Okay. Congratulations, Moyo. Sir, congratulations. How old are you, Moyo? 18. Excellent. I'm very happy for your future. Go ahead.
Uh-huh. I want to ask a question about risk. Um, you know, if you get a loan from a bank, for instance, now, and then you, based on your education, that we should try and pay off debt, all sort of thing, and you want to get a loan, you want to get a mortgage, they will tell you that your risk loan is your risk is very low. I didn't know, maybe you've had that kind of statement before. Like you want to buy a house, and you've been given a credit from the banks, from different financial houses, and you are not using it, or probably you paid off. You know your risk will be very low. So now, and you want to buy a house too, they are telling you that because you've not been using the loans granted to you, your risk is very low. They can't allow you to buy. So at that stage, what is the best advice? Because you are saying we should stay away from loan, and at the same time we still want to buy something. They are telling us that our risk is low. So how do we handle that
Good.
scenario? That's one.
Let me answer that one first, because you know your questions. I can't think of all of them at the same time. So you just try to remember the question. So one, I'm not saying stay away from loan. I'm saying stay from consumer debt. Your primary home, your car, your student loans. You need leverage to make money. So using loan to do investments in a wise way is good, right? So you don't want to be too much loan where if something goes wrong, you can't pay it off. But using loan to get your investments is good. Okay, so I want to be clear about that. But you don't want to be over leveraged. Two, I've not really heard about a bank saying that your risk is too low, so we don't want to give you money.
Mortgage company.
I have a mortgage company. I know what. Yes, if your risk is too high, they don't want to give you a loan. Now, what banks want to do is there's two things. There's what they call uh, ability to repay and willingness to repay. Your credit report shows your willingness to repay, and banks want to see that you have a history of repaying your loan, right? So if someone comes to the US for the first time, no credits, and they want to borrow money from you, I don't know if you have a history of borrowing and paying it off, which I think is very stupid of bankers. Like if someone has cash and they want to borrow, and I know they have income, they should lend them money. So there's some lenders that will lend you money no matter what if you don't have that history. But for the most part, they want you a history of paying. And for most of them, if you have two credit lines that's been over 2 years and you've used before or not, you don't have to keep using it over 2 years. They will give you a loan because they have a history of paying it. But if you have too high of a risk, too much loans, you will not get a loan, right? If your risk is low, you get a loan as long as you demonstrate that you have, at least one or two different accounts that you have for over 2 years and you've paid successfully. You should be fine.
Okay, thank you. The second phase is you advise us by going to investing into a private business. So what will happen if the owner of the private business mismanage the business? So what is going to be the fate of the investor?
That's called risk. You might lose your money. That's where the risks come from. You might lose your money, yeah. It's not only private business. If you invest in a blockbuster company, right, and they mismanage the company and the business, you lose your money. Even public business is the same thing.
So last question.
Thank you so much. My question is that I will start from this guy, the owner of Amazon. Jeff Bezos. This guy sells ideas. Before the inception of Amazon, there are various marketplaces. People go there for shopping here and there. But this guy generated an idea, throw it to audience and sell it. Same thing applicable to Uber owner. These guys are doing nothing so much significant, but the upstairs, that is what they're selling. Now, relating this to our own, what I mean by our own, we, African settings, we do one trade. What I mean by one trade is that whatever these people are doing, people fetch into it until they crumble the business. For example, Africa restaurant, trucking business. I don't know, maybe my own is when people are walking this way, I change my direction. I don't walk one way. That is, and it worked for me. Now, this Jeff Bezos and Uber and DoorDash owner, it's not like these people have an exception. They are very brilliant, they're very smart. But it's not that they have something that other people doesn't have. My question is that, how do we, if we have this kind of idea, how do we sell it and make it bigger and more, expose it to the audience?
Which idea? Just any idea?
the idea that is not outside already, that is personal idea, but
A-
it's
A new idea.
a new idea.
Well, so it's funny because a lot of people say that we Africans go into the same business like that, right? So it's not just Africans, it's everybody. It's whites, black, it doesn't matter what it is. That's just human nature. Right? So whenever I say Bitcoin is selling, everybody goes into Bitcoin. Whenever I say this, so even in America during the .com era, everybody was opening .com, and then, well, eventually the elites will survive. So Amazon was open during the .com era, Google during the .com era, Yahoo .com era. They were all doing it, So that's just generally during even the gold rush back in the U.S. in the 50s or is it 1850s when California was established? Everybody left New York to California to go chase gold. So it's just a human nature that we all want to chase where the opportunity is. But you're very right, sir. In most cases, going the opposite direction is where the real opportunity is. Um, Now, there are two things you can do to really take your idea out there. So they're saying that the way you determine who you're going to be 5 years from now is the information you consume and the people you meet, right? So educating yourself, consuming more information, learn about the idea that you have and how to take it to market, people that have taken it to market, and then people you meet, your network, right? Network people that have done something that's similar. Go to networking events, getting mentors to help you, take your idea to that place. So people you meet, your networking, information you consume, and then having courage to actually do it will get you there.
Thanks so very much, sir. I must say this is the first time we stayed this long in the church, not even on Thanksgiving Sunday. That is to tell you how eager we are all to up our investment games.
Thank you.
Very lastly, on behalf of everyone, I want to ask, mentoring is very key. Is it possible through the senior pastor, whoever is interested and has the resources, reaches out to you and invest with you?
I'll discuss with no pastor, but it's
Thank you.
possible. It's
Thank
possible.
you
Yes,
very
sir.
much.
Yes, sir.
God bless you, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'll be outside selling some of these books and taking pictures. So please come and support. Thank you.
Thank you so very. Thank you very much, sir. God bless you so richly, and to your very beautiful wife, Sister Adela, for God bless you so much. Thank you for coming. Put your hands together for Jesus. I personally have, I told you before the first time I listened to him, I learned a lot. Today I've learned a lot as well. He said, Commander Victor will be outside with his books. I encourage everyone here to pick a copy of the book. Pick a copy of it, read it. Knowledge is important, and I encourage us to take actions based on what we have learned here today. I'd like to stress two things. See, one is as Christians, we do take risk, but risk must be calculated, like you explained. We should start from what is important, what is most important, and then we can move along. Like I said earlier, I really like the answer to the mortgage thing. You can't go mortgage and then have money and then you start a business. It's a trade-off you are thinking about. You are paying interest on the mortgage. The mortgage, you are paying interest, and it's increasing every day. So I would rather settle consumer debt before I start thinking of investment, because you are considering how much is the return on this investment, and will it offset the interest, the debt I will go into deeper and deeper into by getting that money and then investing it. So what I like about his teaching is the practicality of it. It's not hype message. It's not people just saying, "Oh, just come and invest, just come and invest." It's it's practical. It's like telling us the right thing to do and things like that. And then he has stressed it also that, see, one For example, see, if I want to start, I want to invest money today, I'm never going to borrow to invest. I will invest what I have in excess. The idea of borrowing money using your house as collateral is that you can lose your house. I've invested before and I continue to invest. I know investment could be very, very unpredictable. You could lose money really well, really badly in investment. So if you use your house and if that's the only house you have as collateral to invest, you may be on your way to becoming homeless. So be careful. Lastly, I like the question about, where everybody is going. That Africans and Commander Victor explained it. It's not only Africans. Don't let us put ourselves in a hole that we don't belong. Stereotyping, especially against ourselves, negative stereotyping against ourselves. We put ourselves under too much of it, accuse ourselves of things that we are not doing. It's not only Africans. For example, when we say, oh, there's corruption in Nigeria, see, I was an assistant AG in Ohio. In 1 year, we recovered $70 million in healthcare fraud. Those were not Nigerians. Those were, it's here. And this is here where you know that if you are caught, you will be punished. If Nigeria has the same kind of surveillance we have here, maybe there will be no thief again in Nigeria. So, but we keep saying corruption or things like that is not an African thing. It's not a Nigerian thing. It's not uniquely ours. And that kind of culture, see, I would not discourage anyone per se from investing in things that everybody are investing in. When I become an attorney and I want to open my practice in Texas, there were lots of law firms here. And also, there are a lot of law firms owned by Nigerian attorneys who practice the same kind of law I wanted to practice. I was fed up of prosecuting people. I was the enemy of the people. People can't sit with me this way and talk. But I wanted something that contributes more to life. And I went into it. It's become something, I started from my home. And so the fact that everybody is in it, the elites in it will still succeed. And there may be a utility to you to want to go into something that people are already in a lot. For example, if you want to buy a restaurant franchise, and they tell you before you can buy this franchise, you have to own a restaurant for 2 years, right? It may be easier for you to own an African restaurant and then move on to buy a Subway restaurant, right? So things like that are incentive for you to want to do things that people are already doing. May the Lord bless us in Jesus' name. Thank you so very much, Commander. God bless you so much. And I want to say thank you also. Yeah, we can do better. Let's clap very well. I said it earlier that I learned from your teaching as streams of joy when I apply something directly to my life. I said it earlier. I spend like $6-7 on coffee every day. So after that meeting, I decided that I got my own coffee making machine in the office. So now I make coffee for less than $1 a day. $1 a day, and I save $6, right? So that is something I learned from that. So thank you for what you do. It is great. And that is why I encourage all of us to buy his book. Thank you so very much. And to the group that put this meeting together, Professor Owonibi, Bro Tayo, Bro Benga, and Bro Lumide, God bless you so very much. You did a very good job, and we are going to put you into service the more. So I'll tell you the next project to be done. God bless you so much. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, Ma. God bless you. Let us rise up as we are going to share the grace, and then we wait outside. You can take pictures, buy the books. May the Lord bless you in Jesus' name. As you go home this week, I declare unto you, it's your week of success. You will succeed. The Bible says all things work together for good for they that trust, for they that love God. I declare that everything that God has created will work together for your good this week in the name of Jesus. This week you will not mourn. This week you will not be mourned. This week you will not be victim of errors in the name of Jesus. This week the Lord will bless you. It will shine his countenance upon you. It will lead you on the right path in Jesus' name. Let us share the grace and fellowship. With the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the sweet fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us now and forevermore. Amen. Surely, God's goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our lives, and we shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Amen.